Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Jessica. Um, here. Let's just dive right in, okay? I'm gonna start with. I'm actually gonna start with the Dead Inside deck. So our little oracle. I'm getting a little bit of a deeper message after that. See where we go. I'm just letting spirit take its time. You know, really formulate. There's no rush. There we go. Overthinking hour underneath. Racing thoughts, insomnia loops. I was feeling that like a bit of, well, it felt more like before I turn these two over, it felt more like anxiety, like anticipation anxiety or restlessness in that way, wanting something to happen a little bit faster than it was. And as I turn them around, it says, still waiting on a sign, blaming the moon again. Uh, Still waiting on a sign says doubt, impatience, divine silence. And blaming the moon again, emotional projection, lunar excuse. Taking a really hard look at how things are aligning right now. And it feels like with what I'm seeing here already, that it's already trying to call our attention back to where has the path already been laid out. It feels like there's like still doubt left over, which isn't really out of character at this time, is what I'm going to say. We just started the retrograde today, actually, Mercury retrograde on the as I say that, or not so much. We're at July 1st right now, 2026. So we have that full moon, blaming the moon again. We have the full moon in Cancer, I believe, and um, we also have the Mercury retrograde starting. So I was actually trying to see. I have this big star guide thing. I was trying to see if I could find the moon on here, but I don't think that it's for that. I think it's just for star systems. I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit. But yeah, so let me sink into this because again, it's a lot of anticipation. I feel it up in my throat, right? Yeah, as I lifted, because a part of this bottom card wanted to show through it, and I lifted it, and it said overstimulated in public, noise, panic, sensory bombardment. Yeah, it feels like um hard to breathe. Like it's choked, like I'm stuck up in this right here. So I want to kind of settle the energy here with us, especially with this still waiting on a sign. It feels like things are working as they're supposed to. Things are in the right alignment, right? Like the stars are in the perfect alignment, but we're not really feeling it, you know? And there's emotional projection. There's frustration coming out, sideways emotions coming out, and it's to the point where um, I believe with Jupiter especially moving into there's a bunch of transits if you want to check them out, but Jupiter for sure is one to look into in your natal chart at this time especially, and Uranus, Jupiter Uranus, because they're going to be pointing to a lot of the areas of life that we're meant to mature in, and that's what it feels like this This specific message is trying to focus on the maturity of the spaces that we're still kind of looping around in patterns that are no longer working, and it's obvious. It's one of those things where it feels like it's an obvious thing, so it doesn't feel. Well, actually, let's just keep going. Let's just get a tarot card because there's obviously the reason that source is bringing it up, right? Um, that this longing is showing up, blaming the moon again. This emotional reactivity. We have Six of Coins underneath, and the card that came out was Nine of Swords. Ooh, okay. I'm gonna get a little more. Judgment. That was really fast, huh? Judgment. 555 as I look up. The Fool. 555 is major change. The Moon. And Death. The last card. So yeah, major change. 555 as I looked up before when I said that was what I was thinking was that's like the major change, and that's when I picked up the Judgment. This feels like, and I laugh because I don't want to minimize anybody's feelings, my own included, because it feels like it's the long story short with all of this, because we're going to get into it, is that there's a need, a dire need to remove the repetitive thoughts that are causing stagnation in just the mental area, because it's the path's already been set, and it's this longing is what's causing the delay, if that makes sense, because it's still that push pull. It's I see that the path is 9:10 on the clock. I see that the path in front of me is laid forward. However, I am still thinking about the paths that have been closing for a long time. Several most likely closing at the same time. So it's really calling our attention, source is calling our attention to the overstimulation of the nervous system, hence the anxiety feeling that I was getting in the beginning. It's starting to calm down now. So if I'm hoping with the collective energy that's coming through, that's rippling out. But it also feels like it's up here, and that's probably why this Nine of Swords is the one that came out as the message. It's to basically speak from something, this transition period, something is going down, some sort of opportunity coming in. Judgment, the Fool, the Moon, Death, um, and I'm gonna get more because I want to know exactly what this is, because this feels very very like um all three of these cards here, the Judgment, the Fool, the Moon, all have this very bright um, orb in the center that I'm drawn to. That's like a focal point, and it feels like what's happening right now is the focal point has been narrowed, and it's doing the thing where it's squeezing everything else out, so that becomes uncomfortable, hence why it's showing up here, the overthinking, especially at night, causing things to, you know, uh, cause irregulation in the sleep patterns and things like that. Nine of Swords can also be like um, night, like repeating a nightmare, waking up and also having that nightmare continue. Um, what I'm getting here with this, as I'm looking at it, and I say that it's because this card specifically is of the story of Oedipus, so it's not like, to shorten it. It's basically the moral is trying to stop the outcome of something that sounds negative actually could lead to the thing that you're trying to stop from happening, just because that is the energy that caused the focus in the first place. I hope I'm explaining that right. Because Oedipus, the king in that story, the king, I believe that's right, the king wanted to destroy the child because the oracle said that the child would destroy the king, um, if he didn't. Well, not in that words. She was saying that he would be slain by the child in the future. But what he didn't realize was, through her prophecy, was that uh, the outcome wasn't supposed to be the focus. The middle, the journey, basically, and this is what that's like, the why it has to be broke down, is there's something about the journey, especially at this time with the moon, that's important to understand and to grasp. There's like there's possibly like an outcome that you may already have an intuitive hit on, and it's saying that there's like an epiphany on that understanding, right? Hence the Oedipus part. There's a prophecy that you have come to understand, and the enlightenment part is going to hit you in a good way, and then that is going to open up this journey, this new path, the path that's been waiting, um, while the other things are being squeezed out. Like we said before, those other paths, those other things are being squeezed out, the things that have been shed away already, coming to this point. And it feels like what we have right here is sources saying that there is an epiphany moment that is meant to open up the next like step stone, and there's a part of it, there's an understanding of it that you already seem to have in your awareness through intuitive understanding that's causing uh, jumbled thoughts, or jumbled 1, 2, 3, 4, as I looked up, um, jumbled like reaction, or just the way you're showing up energetically in the world is jumbled, is what it feels like with all of this energy. um and there's something about the understanding of the outcome, even with that intuitive understanding, to simply go through the journey anyway, because there's something about the journey that needs to be uncovered, um because it's part of it's part of the path, um the divine path that's been set before you. So the outcome is not uh, necessarily necessary to even think about with these, with what I'm saying here. Because going back to the story of Oedipus, the like moral of the story of like after he tries to rid the world of the child, um, and it doesn't work. Somebody takes pity on the child, takes it away. The child grows up, and eventually comes back unknowing. I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering this full story, the child doesn't even know that that's the father. It's just one of those things that, um, because circumstance, it ended up leading to the outcome of um, what the king didn't want to happen. He ended up coming back and destroying the king. Um, and if he would have just, instead of taking the prophecy as, and I believe there might be a part of the prophecy that I'm not remembering, because I know it was like a whole, like she was speaking a whole paragraph. I believe it was like a whole thing that she said. Um, but I don't want to get into much about that because I don't even remember. I read that a long time ago, but it's popping up here in the imagery, so it is important. Um, so take from it what you will. And if you want to look more into it, there's probably some nuggets of clarity there for you. But yeah, the moral was supposed to be that if the king would have just allowed the child to continue and live, um, then he would have given it the proper attention, the love, all of that, and the prophecy would have actually canceled because the child wouldn't have done exactly the okay, here we go. Exactly what I do. Um, he was supposed to understand that the oracle was reading his energy, which is exactly what I do, right? I'm reading the energy. So like anything else, the energy can change. And I think that's what the story was trying to get at, was the fact that because he was in that energy, she told the oracle the prophecy from that energy, that vibrational state. And what she was trying to do basically was to bring him up to a higher vibration so that his energy could rise and bring the whole story up to a different vibration, hence the child not destroying him later on because the energy changed around it. And that feels like the main message is trying to say you're building the future from this point, and the outcome, whether it be prophesized that way or not, can change based off the energy. So if you're in an energy that's going to match the vibration of it coming out that way in a negative sense, it's going to do so. If you say, I can't, you won't. If you say, I can, you always will. But there's a huge, huge moment, Judgment the Fool, that's coming, that's supposed to be uh, the leap is meant to be taken. It's like source is almost like in begging you to come forward, regardless of the path that brings you down there, because it's going down there, the path that brings you there, that you know, uh, there's going to be parts of it that are not going to be understood, and or it's going to be hidden from you, the meaning behind the why you need to experience the things that are happening in front of you. But those things will be revealed. They're part of the unfolding of what it is. And with this specific message, this feels like something specifically coming in right now because Judgment, the Fool, the Moon, Death. And it's trying to eliminate any chance of the opportunity that's being presented being missed in any sort of way be due to the impatience of the waiting. It feels like the waiting of this moment is excruciating. And because of that, the squeeze is started to become excruciating, hence the emotional projections, the lunar cycling, the overthinking, the looping, um, all of those things. So let's see what we can do here, because this feels like with this, especially with this 6 of coins underneath the deck on this side, and the bugs on there, especially that one in the like the main focal bug is a fly. The fly to me is like, first of all, they're most annoying things ever. I always have at least one that gets into our place and just wants to land on you over and over in the same spot. So maybe that's significant. There's something about the repetition and all of that. right? But there's something that is trying to come into balance here and bring some, I mean, obviously there's an opportunity trying to come through, but it's like maybe something that's been looping, something that's been trying to work itself out for a while and hasn't, and it's almost annoyance at this point, is what I'm getting with that. Wish granted, the outcome may not be exactly what you want, but it is what you need, which is literally what we were talking about, the moon, with that moon card, and all the rest of the stuff that I was talking about. And the card is about, it's got a guy traveling, or a guy traveling. So that could be very significant if you're moving or traveling or just going, leaving a situation, leaving something behind. There is, again, being brought to the attention that there is something to almost like ignore the outcome. Don't even think about the outcome. Just keep moving forward and know that the path is that you're on is the one that's in alignment. So whatever's coming toward you, um, is part of the path. Because it says still waiting on a sign, like you're not, like you don't, it says doubt and impatience, divine silence. You're doubting that you're on the right path, but you are. You're doubting it because of the divine silence, causing your mind to race, causing overthinking, insomnia, loops, all those things that we've talked about, causing delay. And Source is really trying to just call attention to not backtracking because of the delay or the divine silence or the all of that. Trust the process, embrace uncertainty, have faith in your journey unfolding before you. So again, and I just want to get on back to breakthrough, navigate life's many twists and turns with elegance and resilience. I am going to get some more cards to clarify and then see what we got. But divine timing seems to be here at this moment, because Judgment, the Fool, the Moon, and Death, like that's all, that seems like something very sudden. Judgment especially being between Judgment and Death alone, it seems like a very sudden, like, boom, boom kind of thing. So I want to kind of get more on like what this is, how it'll show up, maybe possibly for our collective gathering here, how we might see it, because it feels like there might be a couple of things trying to come in, or we'll just see what's trying to happen here. Whoa. All right. Albatross, 8 of feathers underneath. Okay. We have the cat, knower of secrets, pelican, 6 of feathers, and peacock, the illuminator, which is the star in this deck. So more major arcana happening here. Something working behind the scenes, really working on the list that has been behind the scenes. 6 of feathers and 8 of feathers. It feels like opportunities are like trying to like leap into your mouth, like in a metaphorical sense with this. I'm getting with this knower of secrets. There's, again, as I was saying before, there's something you know about the path, and it's trying to draw or perceived knowing of the path even. Um, and it's trying to get attention away from this thing because with the star especially, there's going to be illumination around what is true. I feel like what you're knowing and what the universe is knowing are two different things. And there's some muddled stuff from possibly like debris of the past that are muddling the creation of what's trying to happen now. I feel like with this, it's like um, Source's way of trying to say to politely step back and don't even um, think about it. And that's like that can be difficult because it feels like, well, what am I supposed to do then? Just sit around and do nothing, and it kind of actually is like that at this moment, because Source is trying to get you out of the driver's seat mentally and to sit more in this space of wonder and hope and in the heart and just kind of let things lie, rest, and be hopeful. Like, just hopeful is what I'm getting with this. Allowing for even more space to heal, like slowing it way the F down. Letting the things come into your, like literally just leap into your mouth. It feels like a whole different energy from earlier. The earlier energy was like, and this is really like solid and grounded. It doesn't feel that up in here. Really start to take the time to even I don't even want to say to dream. I say because honestly, I feel like what Source is trying to say is almost don't even dream about. Like that's kind of silly, not to not dream about stuff, because that isn't a bad thing to do. Um, but just start like having that be it. Like nothing else has to interfere with the dream part. Like it, if you dream it, it's because it's meant to be dreamt that way and not coming in with an influence over top of it. Well, I can't have that this way. I have to do this to get that. It's saying don't even worry about those things. It's trying to completely strip your mind bits out of the dream work and simply sit it in the heart so that it can be playful and dream freely because there's actually time to do it. And as I say that, that's where I'm going to leave off because my son's here. So I hope you all have a great night, and I'll see you in the next one.